ShartimusPrime, reading comics, toys are hella sick,
Hey, what's up you guys? ShartimusPrime here, doing an interview video with the one and only Bobby Vala, formerly from Hasbro. Currently, he has his own action figure line called Action Force, and he has his own company called Valaverse. And I've been following him on Instagram. He has a Kickstarter for his new action figure line. I've backed his Kickstarter. I've seen images online of the product and everything, and of the prototypes that he's been working on. So I'm very excited for this line, and I thought I'd share it with you guys. So check out the interview. It's very grainy. The video quality here throughout the video, this interview, is very poor. I apologize. He was very patient with me. Thank you, Bobby, for being patient with me trying to get the setup. But yeah, here it goes. It's very grainy, and the video cuts off at the end while he's talking about a lot of the Marvel product that he had worked on while at Hasbro. And some of it is some very cool stuff that you probably have in your collection. So stay tuned till the end, and I'll talk about some of the things that we discussed at the end of the video that had gotten cut off. I heard recently, last year in October, you stopped working with Hasbro, right? And currently you have your own project going on called Action Force, as you can see right there on the shirt, looking pretty good. Liking that. And yeah, I was wondering, you know, you just started a Kickstarter. I backed the Kickstarter, and if you could tell people about it just a little bit. And
yeah, absolutely. And thanks for being a backer. I appreciate the support.
Yeah.
But yeah, once when I left Hasbro, you know, I was mulling over ideas of, you know, starting my own thing. You know, so many people had you know, left there and started their own projects and have been very successful with it. And I was, you know, obviously I love toys and I wanted to stay in the toy industry. And I was just like mulling over what would I do if I wanted to do, you know, toys. And I just kind of looked at the landscape of what was out there and what was available. And you know, I'm a huge Joe fan. Anyone that follows me on social media knows how I have a Joe room in my house. It's like I'm just an uber Joe fan. And you know, when I worked on the brand, you know, there was a lot of discussion about, you know, 6-inch Joes, and you know, 6-inch is like the new trend for action figures. You know, I spent a lot of time on the 6-inch Legends line, and you know, I was like, yeah, I think now is the time to kind of launch that. And then, you know, it kind of got muddled up, and then they canceled the line. So when I left, I said, you know what, I think there's still a need for like a 6-inch military G.I. Joe type line in 6-inch, because everything is kind of covered, you know, comics and, you know, sci-fi. All the genres are covered except military in 6-inch. So I said, you know what, I want to do a 6-inch military line that can kind of cater to the Joe fans, but also to, you know, 6-inch fans out there, Marvel Legends fans, Black Series fans, just people that like just cool, you know, action figures. And you know, I was like, all right, let's do this. And I started coming up with a story. I started coming up with characters, and then you know, because you know, I couldn't call it G.I. Joe, but I wanted it to have a tie to the Joe fans in a way. So I started looking up like abandoned trademarks and saying like, oh, I wonder what's available. You know, a friend and I were kind of talking it over. He's like, oh, you know, you should look up, see what's available, what's expired. And for those of you who don't know, Action Force was what G.I. Joe was called in the UK, because they didn't want it so Americanized, so they just branded the G.I. Joe figures as Action Force. And it's such a big part of like lore for G.I. Joe that it's important and a nice nostalgic throwback. So I was able to get the Action Force trademark. I thought it was also a cool name to me. So I started my company, Valaverse, and then started developing the line Action Force. And you know, I started doing that in January. You know, designed all the figures. I lined up some really great sculptors that are helping me out, and a lot of other people helped out along the way with, you know, logo design and all sorts of other things. And now here we are 6 months later, and the Kickstarter just launched last week on Friday. It's off to a great start. The reception has been fantastic. You know, the figures look great. The prototypes are looking really good, and I couldn't be happier. So, you know, yeah, I'm excited to come on here and chat with you about it. So I'm glad. Again, thank you for backing it. Thanks for being a supporter.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, anybody's working on figures and stuff, and especially, you know, working, you know, I'm totally in support of fully articulated figures. That's what I had seen on your Instagram posts. And check out Bobby Vala on Instagram, by the way, or Valaverse on Instagram, so you could see updates over there. So he'd been posting updates, and I'd seen updates of the figures. And I'm looking at these images of fully articulated military figures, and I'm like, oh, I could definitely use those in my collection, you know, especially, I mean, with the articulation, the scale, and having the accessories that could be interchanged with other characters and stuff in the Marvel Universe. I'm not personally a big G.I. Joe guy, but I'm a huge articulated 6-inch figure guy, you know, I'm all about that. So seeing that in there, I was like, oh yeah, I'm totally all for this. So yeah, I'm stoked. I like what I've been seeing so far, so I'm really happy with, you know, and excited about, you know, what's to come. And then can you tell people a little bit about the different tiers and like what kind of stuff that you have available for people when they go check out the Kickstarter?
Yeah, absolutely. So you know, just touching on what you were saying about real quick about the you know, just the figures in general, like, you know, the line kind of, I wanted it to cater to like everyone. I wanted customizers to love it, like you, a fan of just 6-inch stuff. Like, I wanted people to be able to take the figures and say, hey, I can customize this, take this Steve Rogers head, do a cool stealth Steve Rogers, or take the weapons from my line and mix and match. I wanted it to be encompassed in all of like 6-inch collecting. So that was kind of like my goal with all of it. And, you know, going into the Kickstarter, so the initial fun goal for the Kickstarter is 5 figures. So there's 4 unique figures. Well, actually, 3 unique figures, two troop building figures. So you got Condor, who's kind of like one of the leaders of Action Force. He's a really cool British SAS trooper, which is another nod to the original Action Force. He's all in black, comes with an extra balaclava head for you troop builders out there. There's Karak. He's one of the villains for another faction. There's Downrange, who's also another Action Force trooper, and then the Swarm Trooper is the one troop builder of the line. These guys are really, really cool, and you know, I think people are gonna really enjoy like troop building that, army building that. There's a couple different versions in the stretch goals, gear packs, and then in the initial 5, there's also a mystery Kickstarter exclusive figure, which I haven't revealed yet.
Ooh,
so on the campaign, he's all blacked out, and I said that he will be unveiled on Wednesday, June 19th, which is also my birthday, and I'm really excited to actually reveal this figure. So it'll be all over. I'm going to make a big announcement for it, and I'm really looking forward to people seeing this figure. I think when they see it, they'll lose their mind, hopefully, just because, you know, for Joe fans out there, they'll get it and they'll be like, wow, because I mean, shoot, man, I see it, and the few people I've told about it are like, wow, this is really awesome.
Oh wow! Well, do you think I'll know who it is? Because like I said, I'm not a big Joe guy, but
I'm not a big Joe fan, but I think you'll get it. I think you'll definitely get it. And if you don't, all you have to do is Google, and
you'll find out. I mean, I know about some of the characters, and I watched G.I. I mean, it was the show that came on after Transformers. That was like the thing for me. But which I can't remember exactly which one was. I think Transformers was first, and then it was G.I. Joe right after.
I think you're right. Yeah. If
at 4 p.m. or something like that. Whoa, jeez. All right, 80s babies. Yeah. So. So that sounds awesome. Now I'm very excited. Happy early birthday, by the way. But yeah,
Thank you.
I'm definitely excited to see more of what's to come with the secret figure and everything like that. And then and you have this Kickstarter. You have your own thing going. Do you have any credentials or anything that you might be able to talk about? You know, to kind of, I don't know, let people know of some of the product that you've worked on in the past. That we may have heard of.
Yeah, I think I've been around a little bit. I think I've worked on a couple things here and there. You know, maybe a little line called Marvel Legends.
Oh, what?
A couple Marvel Cinematic Universe properties. You know, things like that.
Nice.
But yeah, no. For those of you who know me or don't know me, I spent almost 7 years at Hasbro. The majority of the time on the Marvel license.
And
years.
He's the one with the tattoos, by the way. I got to mention the tattoos because in a lot of our interviews, like I always mention your double jointed elbow. Oh, there we go. Wait, show them off again. The double, the double jointed elbow tattoo, which I think is really. Oh, I don't have any tats or anything, but that's something I've considered kind of mimicking. But okay, so go on. So you're saying some Marvel Cinematic Universe properties and some other things.
Yeah. When I came onto the Marvel brand, I took over the Marvel 3 3/4 inch Marvel Universe brand. At the time, they were going through one of the many name changes, but we always refer to it as Marvel Universe. So I got a couple good waves of Marvel Universe in there before they started cutting costs and making me pull out articulation. But I think I got some really good figures out there during my run, and then I worked on that short-lived 12-inch run, which was great. You and I were just talking about it. I had a lot of fun on that line. I worked on all the $100 roleplay stuff, the premium kind of like replica stuff, and then I spent the last couple of years working on the 6-inch line, doing the 10th anniversary, the first 10 years MCU stuff. I did the 2 most recent Spider Waves, a couple 80th stuff, the Riders. So yeah, it was working on that stuff. Man, what an awesome time! That me as a huge Marvel fan, and talking with you guys at Comic-Con and Toy Fair, and seeing how much you guys enjoy it, because you guys are such big Marvel fans and Legends fans. So what a great ride it was. I had nothing bad to say about working on that stuff. It was a total dream come true, and it helped me. It taught me a lot of things. So I feel like the figures I'm making for Action Force is a lot due to what I learned working on the Marvel brand and at Hasbro for so many years.
Wow. So did you work on that Professor X? That Professor X, I think, is freaking cool. Oh, man. I love that.
That one, man, that line, so the vehicle, the Riders line, so like the first year we had Ghost Rider, who was an obvious choice.
Yeah.
Black Widow, and then Wolverine. So you had kind of 3 motorcycles in there, and I said, okay, for year 2, I definitely want some different vehicles. I want to get something other than motorcycles in there, because there's not a lot of iconic vehicles in the Marvel universe, but and you also just don't want to do motorcycles. So I was like, listen, man, you have to do Professor X. He's such a staple of the X-Men, and the X-Waves were selling so well, and we had gotten pretty much the entire blue and gold team, but we needed their leader. So me and Ryan Ting, who's the marketer on Marvel Legends, we pushed really hard to get Professor X in there, and I'm glad we won that battle, because he came out awesome. I couldn't be happier with how he came out, and the reception to him. People really dug that figure. He came out beautiful, and I love him. And then Deadpool on the scooter. We had seen early images of Deadpool 2 of him on a little Vespa. And we're like, shoot, man, we got to do Deadpool on a scooter. And that's what we did. We put Deadpool on a scooter, and then we kind of had this great last-minute idea for the bumper stickers that you can put all over the scooter.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, so that was fun, because, I put together a bunch of ideas, and, Jesse Falcon, I had to pitch the labels to Jesse. And there were a few I tried to sneak in there under the radar, but he caught all of them. And I wasn't able to put some of my favorites in there.
Could you give us any? Could you give us any examples of anything that you tried to sneak in that didn't make the cut, or?
Yeah. There were 2 that I was bummed about. There was one that said "I heart Hugh."
Oh, cool! Nice.
We couldn't do that.
And that Bobby had talked about while working on the 12-inch Marvel Legends series figures, that he had some figures on the way that he had been working on that would have been part of that 12-inch line. First off, he was working on a Captain Marvel comic version of Captain Marvel, so he had mentioned that he wanted to make her before the movie came out. And then another one was Thanos. There was going to be a 12-inch Marvel Legends series Thanos figure that never got made. He wanted to get some Kirby Crackle effects going on, the Infinity Gauntlet, and he had this whole idea of getting some Kirby Crackle effects on an interchangeable head. I'd asked him, well, what Thanos design were you going to go with? He was like, classic. I love the classic. Tend to go with classic. I was like, awesome, that's very cool. And you may have caught where he mentioned that the last couple of years he'd been working on 6-inch Marvel Legends, and the World War II Captain America with the motorcycle, he said that was the big one that he was working on, and he was the most proud of and the most stoked about. He had already mentioned Professor X. He did work on the Iron Spider and Iron Man Mark 50 2-pack, the one that has the floating nanotech things behind him. That was his idea, that he came up with doing that. The 80 Years Thor, that was one that he worked on, so I'm very much looking forward to that. And then he also worked on the 2 latest Spider-Man waves, the Kingpin Build-A-Figure wave and the Molten Man Build-A-Figure wave. Those are those both were his waves that he had worked on. And we talked about the 6-armed Spider-Man a little bit because I was like, man, that Kingpin is such a home run of a figure. I love that Kingpin. And we got into talking about the 6-armed Spider-Man, and I was prodding, and I was like, alright, so I wanted to know why you chose the Amazing Spider-Man 2 body instead of the Pizza Spidey body. And his explanation for that was that there had already been a lot of figures set up to use the Pizza Spidey mold, so they could only use the mold a certain number of times, and still it kind of breaks down on the figure, or the product gets weak. So you can only use it a certain number of times, so they needed to use a different mold, and that's why he went with the Amazing Spider-Man 2 body mold. He talked to his engineer about trying to get an ab crunch. He loves articulation. He said that he wanted to get ab crunch in there, but he said with that framework it wasn't going to work. And that's why I was like, well, we should use the Pizza Spidey body mold. A lot of people have made customs using that Pizza Spidey body mold, and you know, his explanation was that he couldn't use it at that time, and he would have rather have given us a 6-armed Spider-Man and rather than not at all. And some of us may be thinking, well, I would have rather that they just waited until they could use that Pizza Spidey mold later on in the future. But then you gotta think, like, from the perspective of somebody who's making the line or making the wave, it's their baby, and if he really wanted to make a 6-armed Spider-Man, that was his only real, he must have felt that that was his opportunity to do it, and he didn't want to lose that opportunity to make 6-armed Spider-Man. So that's the story behind the 6-armed Spider-Man. So yeah, man, I thought it was a great time. I really enjoyed talking to Bobby. I hope to do I really do hope to do another interview with him again a little bit later on the line. But check out the Kickstarter, check out his Instagram, link in the description below. I'm totally about supporting artists and everything and paying it forward, especially for independent action figure creators. I have a lot of respect for the people that make action figures, man. I only talk about action figures. Making action figures, whole another different game. You know what I mean? Like, people that do movie reviews, yeah, you can talk about movies, but it's not like making a movie. Making movies is way, way harder. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace! Hey, new ShartimusPrime videos. Hey, you should click one. Yeah, click on one of them. Or subscribe if you haven't.
Your face.